I said that if you claim to like football but you do not watch women's football, then you're not as big of a football fan.
Lady philosopher, please, let's not turn everything into a gender war, please. Also, please don't mind the lighting. I know it's, yeah. Anyway, let's go through her claims. The first claim is that men and women are biologically different. It's true. It's very, very true. I do match analysis videos. Whenever I go through a women's football match, I always make notice of the way the goalkeepers jump. They can't cover the same distance as men, and it's due to biological differences. Let's go through. All right, so here we have muscle mass and testosterone. You know what? Maybe she can refuse that by saying women can train more. Muscle fiber types. Maybe she'll say that women can develop those. No problem. But there's this main one, biomechanics. Women typically have wider hips. This changes the angle of the femur to the knee, known as the Q angle, which reduces mechanical efficiency when generating rapid upward force, meaning that women can't jump the same and can't cover the same distances when they're in the goalpost. That's why whenever I watch the games, it's you can tell the goalkeeper is struggling a bit. That's why whenever I watch, I usually mention that they should make the goalpost smaller, just to make it much more easier for the female goalkeepers to play in their position. And also, I do think they could also reduce the sizes of the pitch of the pitches. Maybe that may be maybe too much, but for me personally, I would rather make them reduce the size of the pitches because there's no need. We know women and men and women are different. And then another one was that the claim that Shaq made a few years ago. He said if you want to make the women's game more exciting, you have to allow them to dunk. He actually said lower the size of the rims. He wasn't degrading the women. He was just saying make it a little easier for them. There's no problem in that. Everything has to be a gender war. No, 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 no. We don't hate women's football. Anyway, let's go through her second claim. She claimed that administration and organization. Oh, sorry. She was talking about the administration and then organization of tournaments, specifically AFCON. So the way AFCON is talked about, here's the thing. Here in Africa, we love AFCON. Whenever the people that don't like AFCON are the guys in Europe that say no, it's a comedy tournament or whatever, they always degrade the AFCON. I remember Jerry Carragher made some statements making fun of AFCON. You know, he said some weird stuff. And then people called that out because we love the AFCON. Yes, we know that it might be different in the way it's organized, but still. And before we go further, let me just go back to the part of dunking. I've just remembered. Do you know how many women have dunked in the NBA? Eight. 8 women have dunked in the in the WNBA, not NBA. In the WNBA, only 8 women have dunked. And like Shaquille O'Neal said, reduce this. He even said it in a nice way. It wasn't to degrade the women, but it was just to make the game easier for them. Men and women are completely different. There's no need for everything to be a gender war. Okay, let's go back to AFCON. She said that the way that AFCON is, organized, she mentioned something about funding, but then Africa and Europe, two different. How can you could say economies, governments? They're just two. The way they are, they're structured in different ways. Because you could say, taxes and fees, operation expenses, surface transportation. Remember, Europe. There are many ways to travel across countries. You see, an extensive interconnected high-speed train and bus network. And then most of the times when we are thinking of going to another country, most if you're in Africa, it's most likely a plane. These guys are very well connected, high speed rail, tram, whatever it may be. The different modes of getting to other places. And then the most complicated reason why AFCON doesn't get, why it's harder to move in terms of AFCON is visas. Visas. And then also the good thing about AFCON before, who's this one? I think the current CAF president sought Africa out is AFCON is held every after 2 years. So that gives an incentive for nations that want to host AFCON to build infrastructure in order to make it possible, to build stadiums, could be hotels for people to be staying in, training facilities. It gave them an incentive that okay, maybe in the next 4 years we want to host, let's build these stadiums and then we can host. And mind you, South Africa hosted a World Cup. We do have the infrastructure in certain regions, but because since at that point in time it was 2 years, I do hope that they reverse that decision for AFCON to be held every after 4 years. It was giving people an incentive to build facilities in order to play football. What else am I supposed to be talking about? I've mentioned the funding, the borders, and then also, personally, when I watch the women's football, it's bad. No. Sorry. When I watch certain leagues, because there are other leagues whereby it's high. It's high. the level that they play at is high. But just for the average, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad, and it can be approved. It can be improved upon. And then the main thing, the main major reason why us men avoid women's football is because the levels of banter in women's football are different. In men's football, it gets toxic. But as fans, we just, we laugh at it and pass it on. If you are to make that statement with a woman, the banter that passes around in men's football, and then you apply that, you would be you could be banned, maybe even arrested. You never know. So yeah, that's the main reason. And then also, why is it women blame men for not watching women's football? When women, they don't care. Let's just be honest. They don't really support women's football because in most cases, there are more women than men. But yet, women usually don't pay attention to women's football. They don't. And then they'll blame the men for not watching. I mean, no, watch it. Support your fellow woman. Support your fellow woman. Don't put men in problems that we don't know. As we watch football, if it's good, it's good. And mind you, in Zambia, we support the women's team because the men's team are not achieving as they should. In Zambia, we really do support the women's team. Trust me, we really do. So this person is trying to get engagement by turning into men versus women. No, 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 no. There are certain things that the women's football can be improved upon, and it's due to biological biological differences, obviously, and then also build up the interest. If you look up the most famous women's footballer, it should be Alicia Lerman. I don't know. I think she was the woman that was dating. See my camera's tripping again. I think she was the one that was dating Douglas Luiz, and she's not famous because of the football. That's all I can say. People have different reasons for following her. We'll not mention them here. They could build genuine interest, but otherwise, you will not make men feel guilty for not watching women's football and leave the women alone. No. Shout at the women, support the women's football. Otherwise, I think these are all the points I'll lay out for now. And yeah, if there's anything, I might make a follow-up video, but I do doubt it. Otherwise, peace. Stay safe. Mind you, not everything is a gender war. Some things we just talk about. There's no need to start make it men versus women. We just talk about stuff, and you bring out your points. Peace.